already exist to handle it. And there is no data except for this one, flawed survey that she conducted as part of Equality Labs. And so that survey was thrown out and it is not valid. And even Governor Newsom said that there is no need for this SB 403 bill, and he vetoed it. And he vetoed it because he knew that there are already laws that would cover caste discrimination if it happened. And so that's where I'm coming from. We all Hindus, anybody with common sense would abhor any kind of discrimination, right? And so
Yes.
that's where they're coming from. And we need to stop them at the heels right now because they're getting worse and worse running around. And the saddest thing is the media did not even give any coverage when Governor Newsom vetoed the bill and for the reasons. So these people, the Tenmosis and the Rajans, the Equality Labs, are still running around with their propaganda. They're going from university to university. The Cal State University has already adopted a caste policy, which totally targets Hindus. And now they're running around to the University of California, like at UC Irvine they did. And they need to be stopped now.
They do need to be stopped, Geetaji. There is no doubt about it, because where we live, America is the land of liberty, of freedom, where slavery was abolished, and there is no place for hate mongers and for targeting a specific community. And there have been allegations of flawed or misrepresented data, as you just said, that's which is being used to justify certain policies or narratives in favor of caste. So can you elaborate on what these flaws are and what are their impact?
Yeah. So, for example, let's start with the Cisco caste case where Sundar Iyer, an engineer at the Cisco Corporation in management, and Raman Kampela, another engineer, were targeted. And they were targeted because they had Hindu last names, even though several years prior to that, when Sundar Iyer, for example, was studying at Stanford University, he had declared that he was a-religious. He was not religious. And they still went after him because he had a Hindu last name. Can you imagine going after people like that in America, like you said, which is all about freedom? That's what's happening because of these anti-Hindu lobbies. That's what we need to stop. And I actually authored an article on this in Voice of Hindus, in which I talked about all these anti-Hindu lobbies. We call them, who are they that are going after Hindus? Who are these anti-Hindu organizations? And now it's spreading to other areas. It has already spread, for example, in the academia. This is a book by Rajiv Malhotra, Infinity Foundation, that talks about all this. And there's also books that talk about, for example, this is by Pandit Satish Sharma, and he talks about this whole caste issue was a colonial conspiracy. And we will talk more about it as we move forward.
So why do you think that certain voices are amplified while others are sidelined in the caste debate, especially within the academia?
So in the academia, if you recall, about 5 years ago in 2020, there was a conference held, and it was supported by all these Ivy League leftist universities, and it was called Dismantling Global Hindutva, where Hindutva is being castrated into like a bad word, when in fact it represents us, Hindus. There is no difference between saying I am a Hindu or I am Hindutva. Hindutva means the essence of Hinduism. And that's all it is. But these people have made it into a villainous word, like demonize the word. It's like saying, when they say, oh, I like Hindus, but I hate Hindutva. That's like saying, I like Muslims, but I hate Islam. Would you say that? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's these are like synonyms. So they both go together. And so if you like Hindus, then you must like Hindutva. And it is all these political positions that these anti-Hindu lobbies are taking to defame us, to shame us, and they won't stop. That's where the problem is. Despite the veto of SB 409, they will not stop.
So, what can, excuse me, what can institutions do to ensure a more balanced, a more inclusive dialogues on these sensitive topics?
Yeah, I think we need the legislators to step up and the media to step up. The media has silenced us. I've authored 20 articles in Voice of Hindus and other publications in which I have talked about this, that the media itself has a bias against Hindus and they won't cover any of our issues. I have gone to the Los Angeles Times repeatedly and asked them, but we have had no help from them whatsoever. And because I live in Los Angeles County area, for me, that's the right media to go to. And I did. I've also tried the New York Times, the Washington Post. They all are in the same boat, which is they have a bias against Hindus. They're part of this, that whole conference I talked about, that was all academia supported, media supported. So it's like they are targeting us from every which way they can. The Hindus in America are being targeted.
This
Clearly.
is very concerning. And so the university decides to respond to all these concerns by holding a virtual panel discussion, the so called concerns of caste, where all the American Hindus are discriminating the Dalits, right, according to them. And apparently, all the American Hindus have already identified who the Dalits are living in America. And one by one, they are all trying to they are all trying to harm the Dalits in some way or the other. So they hold a virtual panel discussion, but the university administration, they responded to all these concerns by muting and dismantling your microphone. So what do you think that what should be an appropriate response by the Hindu community?
Not only they muted my microphone, they also had other panelists like Humadar. There was another professor, I'm not recalling his name right now, but I'll send it to you. And then the moderator, Anit, who is part of, she's actually the chair of Sikh studies at UC Irvine. And she herself is an anti-Hindu, she's runs by her political ideology, because I know when she was hired as the chair of Sikh studies, which was several years ago, she issued a statement in a UCI bulletin, and I still have the link to it, where she was talking about how, about her thoughts on Modi and how she's not supposed to politicize her agenda like that, because Modi was not part of the equation as the chair of Sikh studies. He was even exonerated by the India Supreme Court for that false narrative that they keep harping on, that Modi did this to the Muslims. That's not true. Modi did not. He was exonerated, acquitted by the India Supreme Court that he did not do that. So there's a lot of falsehoods, and it's like I feel like I have a fly swatter. Here's one negative falsehood story, and then here's another, and then here's another. So it just is going on and on. And we really need to get a stop placed on it. Otherwise, it is harming our children. They're trying to erase our Hindu identity. Even in the academia, they're trying to do that. So recently, about a couple of months back, University of California, Berkeley, they had a meeting, there's student senators, and they refused to celebrate Hindu Heritage Month, but they agreed to celebrate Islamic Heritage Month and other religions, their heritage months, but not Hindu. And there was one nice Jewish senator in the group. There was no Hindu senator. So we weren't even represented in the Senate. And he proposed Hindu Heritage Month, but they turned it down. This is what's going on in the academia. Pew data just came out and showed us recently that Hindus, children who have been raised in US, in America, 18% of them are no longer identifying with their Hindu religion. And they're not identifying because they are getting all this negativity in the media and in the academia. So this is a very dangerous thing that's happening because Hindu civilization is the last Indic civilization that will be destroyed. All the other civilizations have been destroyed. You look at the Maoris, you look at all the others. Only Hindu civilization is surviving, but it's on a, what do you call it, a threshold where we are fighting very hard to not let it die. But these people are working, the anti-Hindu lobby is working very hard. And this could also include these very leftist jihadists who attacked us in Pahalgam, because the funding comes to these people here, anti-Hindu lobby, and then they send it to these terrorist places through Pakistan. So it's a very geopolitical and anti-Hindu lobby issue that needs to be addressed as soon as possible. Thank you.
Definitely, there are a lot of pieces to this puzzle, as you're saying, but what do you see as the path forward for resolving these controversies and promoting mutual understanding, if at all that is possible?
I think we need to hear both sides of the story. If they were going to have the caste webinar, they should have invited the other side also. They should have invited us Hindu organizations, authentic Hindu organizations. And we have so many now that are willing and ready to come forward and speak. But we are not invited. We don't have a seat at the table. And therefore, we are the menu. Why didn't UC Irvine invite us? They know this is a contentious issue. They know that the SB 403 bill was well fought on both sides, but they know it was vetoed by the governor because of all the advocacy all of us Hindu organizations in our community did. And yet, they didn't think it was important. And they put in the panel others who were also anti-Hindu.
So this is definitely very well thought out, targeted. But I believe that no matter how strong the negative forces or negative energies are, the positive energies and the strength that truth carries, which is what the ancient Sanatan Dharma signifies, I don't think it will be possible for anybody to eliminate it. There is a reason why the civilization of Bharat survived. So I want to ask you that since they are trying so hard to not only target Hindus but completely obliterate their civilization, we need to have the broader American public also become aware of this. So how can the broader American public become better informed about the complexities of these issues that we are facing and all the propaganda and negativity that they are spreading about caste and the Hindu identity?
We need the help of the media. The media is biased against us. So that's where the issue is. Do you know the NAFSA data showed that 75% of Indian American, which is, as you know, 80% are Hindus, 87% actually are Hindus, are afraid on campus. They don't feel safe anymore. I just went out and spoke to some of our legislators last week in Washington, D.C. about this. I presented this data, that our children are not feeling safe in the campuses in the United States of America. I have 8 grandchildren. Can you believe how I'm feeling at this time?
Why do you think that they are targeting the Hindu identity, and what is it that they will achieve by eliminating the Hindus, eliminating the philosophy, the truth? How is it going to help them? I've always tried to understand things from their perspective, but it's never made any sense to me that why anybody would do that, because religion, no matter what, never talks about hatred, never talks about killing, and definitely not Hinduism. So, why do they want to go down that path of hatred, of violence? What is going on in their minds?
I think they're looking for another breakup of India. They want to break India. They want to break Bharat. And so there's a lot of good work done by Rajiv Malhotra and his Infinity Foundation. And we must read Snakes in the Ganga to know every chapter. It's a 1,600-page book. And every chapter is a story in itself about why they're going after us, after Hindus. And so this is a very important question that needs to be addressed by all of the, like you said, by the mainstream American population as well. And the media can get the word out, but we need the media to do their duty. But even the media today, you cannot trust anymore. They're, the journalists are like, we call them very, they have their own activism actually at work. And so they don't want to hear us.
So we definitely need a mainstream media where the voices of Hindus would be heard, which is so very important at
Yes.
this time and age when everybody is trying to just silence them for no reason whatsoever. Is there anything else you wish that more people understood about this issue?
There is a very good book that is written by Dr. Kundan Singh and Krishna Maheshwari. It's called The Suffering of Indian American Hindu Children. And in this book, he has shown how the colonialists, when they went to India, they are the ones that created this whole caste conspiracy. And as I mentioned before, this is the book that explains it all. And the reason I mention it is because even in the schools, our children feel so shamed because they're teaching them, when they talk about religions and social studies classes, they're teaching them that Hinduism is about caste, and they tell them the four castes. They don't talk about all the good things of Hinduism. They just want to keep feeding this narrative. And it's a false narrative, as I said, but they want to keep on feeding into it. And our children get depressed. I have talked to moms in my groups where they say, Gitaji, we don't know what to do. Our child is depressed. They talk about the swastika sign and they mix it up with the hak and cruise. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the ethnic studies curriculum that needs to be addressed by Hindus along with the school boards of education. We need our children to get into these school boards as they grow, and so they can fight this battle too. We all need to be Hindu warriors today, Hindu intellectual warriors we're talking about, where we arm ourselves with knowledge from all these books, from all these conversations you and I and so many others are having thanks to media like Bharat TV. And we need to arm ourselves up. It's not going to happen otherwise. So this is really like a warning to Hindus who are not waking up to wake up, to wake up. The writing is on the wall. The data is there to make us worry that our religion is at risk. And many Hindus are very overconfident and say, no, nothing will happen. But look at the Pew data. It shows it's down already by 18%. Hindus, children are being made to feel shame. And we have now Hindus Yuva on campus. We have Sayan by Kona. So we want Hindu children, when they go to campus, to identify themselves as Hindus, to be proud Hindus, not to have to, not even acknowledge they're Hindus. They're afraid to acknowledge they're Hindus. So this is a very sad state of affairs. And I've lived in America for 54 years. I came as an adult. And to see this state is like, I just have, again, I'm short of words to describe how sad it makes me feel.
But Geetaji, it was very brave of you to stand up against adharma, against unrighteousness. And Bharat TV, the entire team of Bharat TV congratulates you once again for holding such a brave front before the entire faculty of UCI. So caste is being used as a weapon to target the American Hindus. So my only request to the haters is that please do not become like the flies that only like to swarm around filth. Why create a pile of filth for yourself to swarm around? Human life is meant for a better purpose. Please do not waste your human life in spreading hate, because what you give out will one day come back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Anjali. Thank you.